Hi guys, welcome back for episode number 3 of the weekly playback. So why don't we just get started? So one of the first games, well, it wasn't one of the first actually, but one of the games I played in the past week is Odin's Ravens. So this is a racing game, so I don't know if any of you guys have played this, but I actually really like it. So each player is going to have a bunch of cards that have a different terrain type on them. Sorry, the camera is here, not up there. I was pointing it to the light. So yeah, so each player is going to have a certain number of cards with different terrain types on them, and then each player is also going to have a certain number of Loki cards. So these Loki cards are special abilities which you'll be able to use them once per game. So once you use a Loki ability, you can't use it anymore. So you are going to have a path of terrain cards laid out, a path of 16 cards between you and your opponent. This is a 2-player game, and you are trying to move your raven along the path. You want to start on your end, loop around, and come all the way back to you in order to win. So the first player who is able to do that wins this game. And you do that by playing your terrain cards, putting down your terrain cards to move your raven a certain number of spaces, and by manipulating the path by using your Loki cards. So yeah, it's a really fun game. I really like it. I really suck at it, but I really like it. So yeah, if you're looking for a really fun racing game, then I would highly recommend Odin's Ravens. And this is published by Osprey Games. So yeah, definitely check out Odin's Ravens. I don't really have much else to say about it, except it's a really nice, like, kind of, you know, 2-player filler game. So I definitely recommend that. I also played Candy Lab, which is published by Funny Fox Games. And this game is for 2 to 4 players. I'm not sure what the mechanic in this game is actually called. I think it's like action selection, I don't know. So you are going to have cards in your hand, and you are going to have a bunch of candy pieces laid out in a row. And these candy pieces, they're different colors, they're pretty cool, they're really chunky. They're like this translucent like stick. Oh, sorry, that was probably really loud. They're like these translucent sticks, and they've got symbols on them and numbers on them. So you are collecting candy by playing cards, and the cards you are playing will indicate, so you are trying, when you collect candy, it has to be in the formation that you see on the card. So for example, this would mean that you can take a candy type of any one of those 3 colors that is next to a yellow, and you would take both of those candy pieces. Once you select a candy piece, then you perform the action that is on that piece. So in this case, you would get to, I can't remember what the plus means. I think maybe add a card to your hand. I don't remember what the plus sign means. But there's different symbols on the cards. Yeah, draw the first card of the draw pile, because there's 3 cards laid out, or or draw one of the face-up cards, or a card from the draw pile, and you won't know what you're getting. So yeah, so you are selecting candy pieces, and if the candy pieces do not go back to the candy pile, because some of the actions will allow you to place back a candy piece or place back someone else's candy pieces, then you will be scoring points based on the number on that candy piece, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win. And you're also scoring points based on the cards that are left in front of you. So it is possible to discard, you know, cards and discard other players' cards, and the game end is triggered, I believe, when all the candy pieces run out, or all the cards run out, one or the other, I believe. So yeah, so that's a fun game. It's also, like, I would say, a filler game. It's not a game that's going to take a long time, but it's got these nice chunky pieces, and I haven't really played anything like this. Again, I don't know what the mechanic in this game actually is, but I played one game of this with my friend and his son, who is 7 years old, and I sometimes think my friend goes easy on his friend, so maybe on his son, so maybe that's why his son and I were tied, and then I won the tiebreaker. So apparently the only time I can win games is against a 7-year-old, because I never really win against anyone else. But yeah, so that was Candy Lab by Funny Fox Games, which I also played and liked. A really light game. Okay, so another game I was able to play from my Shelf of Shame, which I was really excited about, is Viscounts of the West Kingdom. And this is for 1 to 6 players. The only other game I had played from the West Kingdom series is Architects of the West Kingdom, which I really, really love because I'm a huge fan of worker placement. I'm not going to open this up. I'm sure you guys have already, seen all the components. If I have a reason to open it up, then I will. So this game is really great. There's so much you can do on the board. I'm actually going to be doing a 1-minute overview video of this game, but basically you have a Viscount who's moving around this board, and you can perform different actions. You can transcribe a manuscript, you can add workers to the castle. I don't know what those workers are called exactly, but you can add workers to the castle. I'm not sure, they're not exactly called workers, I think, because I don't think you're really actually making them work once they're on the castle, but you can add your little meeples to the castle. You can build buildings, what else can you do? I don't remember what else you can do, but there's a bunch of different actions you can do, and you can, trade. So on your turn, you get to perform one of the actions, and you get to move your Viscount a certain number of spaces depending on the card that you have played. So you have your own board, and there's 3 cards that are going to be laid out before you, and those are cards that you've played, and then one will get knocked off, another one will get added on. I'll explain this in my video, hopefully, if I can fit that all in a minute. So in the card has a number on it, and that indicates how many spaces you can move your Viscount. So it does get a little bit tricky because, let's say you want to add more workers to the castle, because the way the meeples move up the castle is a bit tricky. You need to have 3 meeples in one section, and then one will go to the adjacent section, the other one will go to the other adjacent section, and then the middle one gets to move up a level. And to get to the very top level where you can score those bonus points by getting that top level first, or having the most meeples up there, it's hard to do that. I honestly don't know how someone can get any meeples up there. No one did that in our game that we played, but of course we actually didn't get to finish. We ran out of time. We were close to finishing, I think, but we ran out of time. But it's a really good game, and I really, really like it, and I definitely want to play it again. I thought the setup was a bit tedious, but not any more tedious than other games, I guess. There's definitely games that have taken a lot more time to set up. But now that I have all the cards organized in the box, knowing which cards go with, which piles and stuff, I think setup will be a lot more quicker. So, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing Viscounts of the West Kingdom again. So I've only played it once. I really enjoyed it. And once you get going, then you really can figure out what you want to do and how to do it. And, a little more than halfway through, I feel like I really had a strategy in mind, but unfortunately the game store was closing, so we didn't get to finish our game, and I was a few steps short of getting my 4th manuscript, which would have gotten me a number of points. But it's a really great game, and that's designed by Shem Phillips. So definitely check out Viscounts of the West Kingdom, or the other West Kingdom games if you haven't played those yet. So another game that I'm super excited to talk about, which was very interesting, it's called Lost Explorers. So Lost Explorers is designed by one of my new favorite designers, Cedric Chaboussi. I say he's one of my new favorite designers because I've played a number of his games over the last few months, and I've loved all of them. One of them you can see right there, Lure, which is the French title for the game, Glow, which has a double-sided board, and it's a roll and move, but it's got a more strategic roll and move, because you're using cards and dice. Well, okay, I'm not talking about that game right now, but I really like it, and I really like his game. It's a small box. I like Shamans, which is a trick-taking and social deduction game in one. What else have I played of his? Tea for Two, which I really liked. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like I've played some other games of his that I really liked. But so he has become one of my favorite designers, and I was I have his game Lewis and Clark, which I haven't played yet. It's right there. Yeah, right there. So this I saw at a local game store. Well, not very local. It's in Rochester, so 2 hours away. But when I saw it in the brand new section, I was super excited. So this game is very interesting. Well, first of all, I want to show you. The box is actually the game board itself. So you open up the box, lay it flat, and you're going to have your little explorers. You have 2 master explorers who will be going up this track, allowing you to get some clue tokens. So basically, you have different locations on this board, and you are going to different locations. You are collecting these tokens, and when you collect a token, you can decide whether you want it face up for its vehicle, so you can use it as a vehicle to move around on the game board, or you can use it mission side up. And to use it mission side up, you're then going to need to place some of your explorers on the various locations on the board in order to complete those missions. And when you're completing a mission, you need all those vehicle types in order to, or those transportation types in order to complete that mission. So you have to have a meeple on each location, and you have to discard one token from each location matching that color. So like, for example, if I'm at this location, I would need 2 greens and a yellow, and then I would discard one of those. However, if someone else's meeple was already there, instead of discarding the token to the discard pile, I would give it to them. And that's important because it can, there's only a limited number of these tokens that you can collect for either mission side or the vehicle side. So, you're going to want to be somewhere, and, people, when they choose a token from here, they have to indicate at that very moment whether they're going to use it for transportation or for the mission. And if it's the mission, you place it mission side up so everyone can see which mission you are going to be working towards, and they will be able to see the locations on that mission token. So you can, when you are done completing a mission, you have to take at least one of your meeples back, and you can leave one or more depending on how many you used on the board. So you may want to, if you completed a mission in a certain area, leave your meeple in a location in a city where someone else is going to go. So that way, when they have to complete a mission, instead of discarding their token, they get to give it to you, and that will help you, because sometimes you end up just spending a turn just trying to get these tokens. And the way you get these tokens is when you place your explorer on this part of the board, you will get to take a token depending on how many explorers you place there. If you place 1 explorer there, you get to take the first token in line, and you can see which colors are coming up. If you place 2 explorers there, you get to take the second token in line. If you place 3, you get to take the third. If you place 4, you get to take the fourth, and you have a maximum of 4 to place there. However, if you place 1 here, you cannot then place another one on that same side and then collect the second token from that side. So once you place an explorer on one side, you can then place explorers on the other side, but not on the same side again. So it's quite a tricky game. So what you're doing is you are trying to advance up this track. So once you have completed a mission, you are then going to move up your little guys who fit into these slots. They're like little pegged guys. You are going to move them up on the track in which you completed the mission. So if you completed a blue or green mission, you are going to move up the number of spaces that indicated by how many explorers you use. So if you use 3 explorers to complete a mission, you will get to move up 3 spaces on that track. And once you hit a magnifying glass, you get to take a token, a clue token. The first person to get 4 clue tokens wins. If no one has collected 4 clue tokens by the end of the game, then there is some other method of determining who the winner is based on the location, the positions of your 2 guys on each track. I believe it's something like your farthest behind player needs to be ahead of the other players. Farthest behind player, something like that. Something that's a bit tricky. And also something important to keep in mind, you have 2 pegs on these tracks, one for red and gold and one for blue and green. If your peg that is farther behind passes your other peg on the other side, after you've completed a mission, you get to take a token from the discard pile of your choice for its vehicle, not for a mission. So yeah, so there's like a lot of really interesting stuff going on in this game about how you get tokens and how you can, just advance on this track. I definitely want to play it with 3 players. I was supposed to play it at 3 players. Unfortunately, the 3rd player then flaked out. So we ended up playing a 2-player game, and I definitely think that this is a game that's going to be way more competitive and interesting at 3 or 4 players, because when you are remaining on the board in a certain location and people then have to give you a token, I think it's just going to become way more interesting at that point. So yeah, so that is Lost Explorers. So it is a very interesting game and something just a little bit fun. Once you have collected 4 tokens, there are these scan QR codes on the back. So you would add up the number of there's a number on the back of each clue token. You would add up those numbers, get your total, and scan the one that you have, and you will see what is the lost city that you have discovered. So that's pretty cool. It's just something a little neat in this game. So yeah, so that's Lost Explorers. I really like how the box is also the game board. I think that's really cool. I really like that. So yeah, I do recommend it. Again, I haven't played it at a higher player count. I've only played it one time, but I think it's a pretty cool game. And the last game I'm going to discuss this week just wrapped up its Kickstarter campaign, and that is Forests of Pangaia, or Pangaia. So again, I've only played this once, and there will be late pledges available. I've asked the designer and the publisher, one and the same, and they said that there will be late pledges available. So if you missed the Kickstarter, you will have an opportunity to late pledge for this game. Now, this was a review copy, preview copy, and oh my god, the components in this were just absolutely amazing for a preview copy. I mean, these trees are just amazing. I just love them. So these little wooden trees, and this game is environmentally friendly from what I remember reading on the Kickstarter page. So depending on the number of players, you're going to lay out a certain number of tiles, and I have done a 1-minute overview of this game if you guys want to see that. And you are placing down seeds. You have a spirit token, which is like a deer with like a lot of antlers, and you're putting down your spirit token. Your spirit token on the land masses can only go on a lake, and then you can plant seeds next to your spirit token, and then in the next round, when it's your turn again, you grow those seeds into trees, and you're also collecting resources, trying to add treetops to your trees, and you're trying to fulfill rituals. So there's ritual cards, and you're trying to fulfill those rituals using your own trees and other people's trees as well. So it is a bit strategic. Like, so for this one, you would need to connect a water land tree you have to have a path of trees connecting that kind of land type to this kind of land type, and you can use your opponent's trees. If you use your opponent's trees, depending on the length of their tree, the height of their tree, they may be able to collect resources. So, you know, you don't want to use your opponent's trees if their tree is higher than level 1, because then they will get some resources out of that. If you can use your opponent's trees when they're at level 1, then you will get more points out of that. So there is definitely an element of area control to this. There's also an element of area control when you are putting down seeds, because you can put down seeds on the same exact space as someone else. And then when it comes to growing trees, you can only grow trees if you have like the most number of seeds. And then there's like some kind of method of like, you know, you can pay, I think, to add more seeds to get the majority or to tie. And there's, you know, there's some rules relating to that. But it is a really good game. Like, I was a bit concerned when I first saw the Kickstarter, as, you know, I think Alex mentioned in his Board Game Co video about this game that, you know, he only kept on seeing reviews say, oh, it's beautiful, but not much about the gameplay. So I was a bit concerned, but we loved it. Like, me and my 2 friends who I played this game with, we all really loved it, and we would all definitely play this game again. So yeah, so if you missed the Kickstarter, definitely go check out the Kickstarter page if you want to back it, because there will be late pledges available. I also did play a couple of filler games, which I'm not going to discuss, especially because one of them I really love, but my sister wanted to keep it for a week or so. So when I get it back, I will talk about it and maybe do a 1-minute overview video of that filler game someday. So yeah, so why don't we just move on to questions of the week? Actually, I forgot, before questions, it's what am I backing on Kickstarter, because it's called the weekly playback. And actually, I am not backing anything new on Kickstarter. So as I mentioned a couple of times in my previous videos, I kind of have come to rely on the Gaming Goat to back games that I want that I cannot afford right now. So I did ask the owner of the Gaming Goat whether he was going to be backing Distilled and Scarface 1920, and he did. So at this point in time, I'm not backing them because I'm actually very broke at the moment from having bought a new computer and having applied to Colorado to be admitted to the Colorado State Bar, which is very expensive, and Also, recently, a couple of weeks ago, I had to have tires on my car replaced after getting a flat tire, and tires are super expensive. So I'm actually not backing anything new. So right now, the only active campaigns I still have on my Kickstarter are Villagers, Shifting Seasons, and Tranquility, the Ascent. Nothing new. So yeah, but I'm hoping to buy Scarface 1920 and Distilled at some point in the future once they are published. So yeah, so if you guys are backing anything, I've checked out a bunch of other campaigns, and honestly, there's nothing really that stands out to me right now besides those two games. Oh, and there's Top Pop, of course. So Top Pop is a game which I did a 1-minute overview video for, which is a really cool set collection game, which is tricky. It's not your typical set collection game. So you know, that's a Kickstarter you should definitely check out if you haven't checked it out yet. It's really tricky trying to figure out where you want to put down your bottle caps on which cities, in front of, you know, in front of yourself, in front of someone else, you know, determining where to put down the city card in front of yourself or in front of someone else is tricky because that, you know, determines which bottle caps you might get and how many. So yeah, it's a very strategic set collection game. It's, as someone said, easy to learn but difficult to master. So yeah, definitely check out Top Pop by Talon Strike Studios if you haven't done that. And if you missed the announcement, I am doing a giveaway for Talon Strike Studios games Camp Pine Top and Public Market, and they look amazing. I haven't played them yet. I'm hoping to play one of them this coming week so I can talk about it in next week's video, if I do a video next week, because I might be out of town. I don't know yet. But if not next week, then the week after. But yeah, those two games are being given away, and the giveaway is running until July 31st. And I'm running the giveaway on 3 different platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So you need to be following me and Talon Strike Studios, and you can find the video outlining the rules for those giveaways. Unfortunately, it is only open to US and Canada, so I'm really sorry about that. I do hope to do an international giveaway at some point again in the future. But definitely go check out those giveaways if you haven't already. So at this point, I will go to the questions now. Thanks. All right, let's answer some questions. I'm going to do board gaming related questions first, and then any non-board gaming related questions at the end in case you want to skip that. And of course, I always leave timestamps below, so you know, you can always skip around anyway. So this one says, you say you don't like dungeon crawls. Do you have any interest in TTRPG? No, I did do, I was in Dungeons and Dragons group for a little bit, almost a year actually. So maybe not just a little bit. I feel like I was in it for a year. We used to meet like every Sunday or every other Sunday. I found it very time consuming. So this, you know, this is not a reflection on the DM by any means. The DM was actually very good. He's a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. He's you know, he has like a PhD in English, and he's very much into creative writing and stuff, and you know, creating these amazing stories. So it has nothing to do with that. It's not a reflection on his DMing skills or anything. It's just not my cup of tea. I just couldn't get into it. I thought I would enjoy it because one game that I really liked, and I haven't played it in a couple of years, but I was really into it for a while, was called Once Upon a Time. It's this like storytelling game where you have cards in your hand, and the cards have like different elements on them, and also, and like different, so there's different types of cards. There's like plot, I don't remember what they're called, like person cards, place cards, thing cards, whatever. There's like different colors, and you're basically trying to steal the story from someone. Everyone has a secret ending to the story, and you are trying to weave the story in such a way that you can end it. If you are the one who ends the story with your ending card, which is secret, then you win the game. And oh my god, I loved it. I had so much fun playing that game with friends, and it was just hilarious. It was just so much fun the way you get to steal the story from someone else. If they happen to mention a word that you're holding in your hand, you get to like slap down that card and be like, yay. I don't remember what the word is that you say, but you get to steal the story from them and then continue the story and start doing it in the way you want to by using cards from your hand. And you can like veto, you can like, you know, boo people and say, no, that doesn't really fit with the way the story, like there's just different things you can do to try to steal back the story or cancel out someone's story if you think it's not appropriate or going in the way it was supposed to. There's like some kind of voting aspect to the game. I can't remember now. It's been a few years. So because I enjoyed that so much, I thought I would enjoy D&D, but I did not. D&D is really not my cup of tea at all, and I don't ever imagine it will be. I actually backed a role-playing game on Kickstarter a couple of months ago because it was Pride and Prejudice themed, and in my mind I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this, but now, like, months later, I do have regrets. It was pretty expensive and I went all in on it, and I'm like, first of all, who am I gonna find who wants to play a Pride and Prejudice role-playing game? And even if I did, I don't even know if I would enjoy it at that point. Like, I love watching shows like Pride and Prejudice movies, you know, Pride and Prejudice and all those kinds of movies, and TV shows like Bridgerton and Downton Abbey, but I don't even know if I would enjoy that game, to be honest. I guess I'll find out if I try playing it once it arrives. Okay, the next question, which I really love. This is such a good question. Oh my God. And if this could actually happen, oh, that would be amazing. If you could choose any designer and artist to create a game for you, who might they be and what would the game be about? So I would, without a doubt, say Johnny Pack. I really enjoy his games. I think they are so much fun, and to me, fun is the most important thing. Or if I could combine a couple of designers together, I would say Johnny Pack and Bruno Cathala, if I could like stick the both of them together, because I also really love Bruno Cathala's games. Or Matthias Kramer in Johnny Pack, or like Cedric Chaboussi in Johnny Pack, and then have what's his name, Nick Nazaro, do the artwork. So he is this artist I follow on Twitter, and his artwork is just so unique and interesting looking, and I just really love it. I don't know what the game would be about, so if I get to choose the theme, I think I would want it something to do with animals, maybe something about rescuing pangolins or rescuing some kind of animal somewhere, or some just zany like animal thing. Actually, Johnny Pack posted something on Facebook weeks ago, or was it a couple of months ago, where he had this idea for a really like zany animal related game about some bird that comes down and picks up bones of like dead humans or something like that, or dead animals. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really interesting sounding, and yeah, it's kind of got a weird theme, but I would totally be into that if Nick Nazaro did the artwork for that. So yeah, so that would be amazing. So if they could like do some collaboration, I would get that game in a heartbeat. Okay, the next question is, what would you like to see or do in your ideal dungeon crawler game? Because I had mentioned I'm not into dungeon crawls, and I mentioned if the ideal game for me came out, then maybe I would be into it. Gosh, this is so hard. So they're asking, what would the theme be? Would it be combat with dice, cards, co-op, or versus? Other mechanics, campaign game? First of all, it would definitely be a versus game. I am not a huge fan of co-ops, as I've mentioned several times. There's only a couple of co-op games that I really like, so it would definitely be a competitive dungeon crawler game. I would want something like really, like, I feel like all dungeon crawlers are just so dark, like actually really dark in color. Like they all, oh, maybe because they take place in dungeons. So, you know, it's always these like browns and blacks and grays and just very, very dark colors. And it's just, you know, once in a while, sure, I like playing a game with, you know, dark colors, but I really love color. I love bright, like beautiful colors in my games. And so if I could get a game that has like the theme of Imaginarium by Bruno Cathala, like a steampunk game with animals in it, and maybe you're trying to find some missing pieces for a machine you're trying to create, and maybe you're fighting weird like mechanical creatures along the way using cards, I think if you could make a dungeon crawling deck building game, I don't know if that's a thing. I guess maybe all dungeon crawlers have some element of deck building to them. I don't know. I did play Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, but that was so long ago. I only did like 1 or 2 scenarios, and I don't remember the rest. I don't remember anything about it. So I don't know if it's like a deck building thing, but if I could have a deck building dungeon crawler with amazing colorful artwork taking place in a steampunky universe with animals, yeah, I would totally be down for that. And it needs to be competitive. So if there is some game designer out there who can create this, I would buy that. I think I would love it. But this person also asked, would I want this to be a campaign game? No, I am not into campaign games. So if you can make a dungeon crawl that would be different every time, that I can have just like pull it out once, play it once, and then put it away, and then pull it out again if I want to play it again and have a different experience, I would love that. Like, that's what I want. If someone can create a game like that, I would totally get it. So yeah, a dungeon crawl for someone like me, that's what it would be. Yeah. The next question is, whoa, where do I get one of those BGIAM shirts, Board Games in a Minute shirts? So then the last video I was wearing one of my logo t-shirts. I've been asked this a couple of times, and I've had 2 campaigns to sell those shirts. I've sold them on this website called Bonfire. And basically I upload my logo, I select which shirts I'm gonna be selling, which colors, you know, what kind of styles, and I get to set the price. And I set the prices as low as I could so that I was making very minimal profit from them. I think I was making like $3 or something per item that I sold, like very little. And I didn't sell a lot of items, but luckily there is no minimum. But you set the campaign to last a certain amount of time, and then after that amount of time elapses, the items get sent out to the people who bought them. But yeah, you know, people have asked me in the past if I could sell them, and I did, and then only a handful, like maybe 2 or 3 would buy something. But I'll do it one last time, and I'll announce it one last time. So if anyone wants to buy a Board Games in a Minute shirt from Bonfire, you can do that. It'll just be a shirt with my logo on it, and it's really good quality. They hold up so well, wash after wash after wash. Like, the shirts from Bonfire are amazing quality. So after, I will do another campaign in case anyone wants to buy any shirts to wear to future conventions or game nights, whatever. And then I am partnering up with Sir Meeple Apparel to sell shirts there. So he's really nice and is coming up with some cool designs that I can sell on his site, and he's going to be taking care of all of that. So that, you know, I won't even really have any, I won't be like doing anything related to that. So that will be fun. There's going to be a shirt with an elephant on it. So yeah, so again, once that's up, I'll post a link for that too. Okay. So I just stopped recording for a minute to take a drink of water, and the next question is a little bit more personal, and so I'm going to be a little bit more careful in how I answer this one, I think. So this one was sent to me via Twitter DM, private message on Twitter. So this question says, what happened with you and Quackalope? Is he one of the friends you said you lost in your videos? I didn't want to comment on your video in case you don't want to respond, but I think many of us are curious and noticed. So I did actually, when I released the video about, when I did the interview with David about what happened, how I felt I was discriminated against by a publisher for speaking about Palestinian rights, I did mention in one of the comments that he and I are no longer friends, and that happened even before all of this. So when I, I'm gonna try to be as tactful as possible. So when I first started getting bullied in January, he and I went to Universal Studios together. And I still stand by the fact, the statement that the reason I started getting bullied really had very little to do with me taking off a mask to take a picture. In fact, it had a lot to do with other stuff. And I created a long series of tweets on Twitter like weeks ago, outlining everything from A to Z, because the person who attacked me was part of a group which I was part of as well, and I left that group because I didn't like the way that they handled themselves, and then they stopped getting bookings, and they made a post in a public Facebook group about not receiving any more bookings, and they were not happy. And so then, this person found a reason to attack me when I took off my mask to take a picture more than 20 feet away from any other person. I followed all social distancing protocols. I did everything correctly. And I'm a germaphobe. I've been a germaphobe all my life. Like, I was someone who was not touching doorknobs before it became cool to not touch doorknobs. So, like, people who know me know that I tend to wear a scarf. Even in the summertime, I would, often wear a scarf around my neck, like a light summery scarf, just so I can use that to open doors and not touch door handles, public door handles. So yeah, so I was bullied for taking off my mask. You know, that was the stated reason when this person had pictures of themselves after their boyfriend came to visit them and they were sitting in a restaurant with their boyfriend, but then they justified why they were able to go to a restaurant and why it's wrong for me to go to an amusement park at the same time, like just, you know, just nonsense. But anyway, so Quackalope was at the park with me, but you know, the focus wasn't on him. He wasn't a part of the group that I left. It really had nothing to do with the mask at the end of the day. And then I started, you know, there was waves of bullying that happened, and there was another big wave that started again in February. You know, they just started saying crap about me again, and you know, I felt very unsupported, and I noticed that you know, the friendship had just basically ceased to exist. And you know, I had a really big moment in my board gaming career happen in February. I got to appear on the Dice Tower for a top 10 video with Tom and Z, which was amazing, and they were so kind to me, and it was such a good experience. And you know, Jesse didn't congratulate me. He showed no excitement about this event, and it hurt. And you know, it was a really big moment for me, and so it just became very apparent that the friendship was just over, and I just made efforts. I feel like I made efforts to try and save it, but at that point, I think it became apparent that you know, people were claiming I'm a difficult person, people are claiming I'm dangerous. So if someone is more concerned about saving their brand than saving a friendship, then you know, they're obviously going to make a choice to distance themselves from someone and not show any support to that person and work, you know, to saving their brand. And that's what happened. So yeah, so then when the whole thing with Burnt Island Games, KTBG happened, and I did that video interview. At this point, I was still in the group chat that I was in with Jesse, Jan, and Alex, and but I left it. At that point, I left the group chat after the video interview was released because I knew I wouldn't get any support anyway, and I knew that they were friends with Helena, so I knew that there's just no point in me staying in that group chat anymore, so I left it. And it's after I left the group chat that someone, like I think it was a couple of days later, or maybe a week or so later, someone had asked me about my top 10 games, and I was like, okay, I'm going to refer back to my video on the Quackalope channel that I did, the top 10 video, to see how my current top 10 has changed from when I did that video. And the video was gone. I noticed that the video was gone, the top 10 video was gone, my interview was gone. So at that point, I'm like, okay, great. So I unfriended him on Facebook. And that was that. He's made no efforts to ever reach out to me since February. So yeah, so that's that. So yeah, so I do think, I'll say this, if you're someone who has been thinking about content creation, and I didn't start content creation to make friends. I love the part I love about board gaming is meeting people and hanging out with people in person and playing games with them. But I didn't start content creation in order to make more friends. I started content creation because I was really missing board games in my life during lockdown. I wanted to keep them a huge part of my life, and I thought by talking about them on video, that would be a way for me to keep them as a big part of my life. And then it just kind of took off. Then I thought I made friends. I thought I made friends in the industry, but clearly they weren't friends. If you can abandon someone so easily when they are going through a really difficult time and they're telling you over and over how alone they feel and you just don't care, I think that says a lot about your values and what matters to you as a person. So if you are thinking of going into content creation, hoping to make friends, I would say don't go into it for that reason. Go into it for reasons that are important to you. Because people, I think, in this industry have proven time and time again that, you know, the values they claim to have, they don't hold on to those values. They don't necessarily practice those values. They lack integrity. And people don't have the same values that you have. If you're someone who is fiercely loyal, and I'm someone who is fiercely loyal until I see from someone else that they have betrayed me in some way, then I stop being loyal. But until that moment, I am a very fiercely loyal person. I had another friend in this industry who I was fiercely loyal to. This person was being blocked by people on Twitter for having run a gaming league on Tabletop Simulator using an unofficial mod of a really popular game. And they ran a league and they were being criticized on Twitter. They were blocked by the publisher of that game. And that person was very hurt. And I stuck by this person's side because I considered them to be a really good friend. Then when, and this person's motto was be excellent to each other. And I thought that they believed in it until when I released the video. After the video, when I released the recording, because people were claiming that I was lying, that I wasn't telling the truth, and I had the recording with Helena to release, so I did. At that point, this friend messaged me, ex-friend, and said that they didn't approve of me releasing the recording, and I said, you know, no one else has ever, like when someone makes a claim about like, for example, sexual harassment, the whole industry would be like, all these people who are super loud on Twitter, they would be like, you know, in an uproar if someone asked that person to present proof of that sexual harassment, right? But when I state that I was discriminated against, I was called a liar. People were saying that they don't believe me. People were saying that I'm not telling the truth. So I had proof and I released it, and the recording corroborated everything I said. But this person claimed that I brought too much chaos to the industry by releasing the recording, and they couldn't support me anymore, and the friendship was done. And literally just days before this person had been planning to come to Ithaca for a week to hang out with me and play games with me. Why I think that this person then decided to end the friendship was because they recently got a publishing deal for a game of theirs, and when you see someone who being blacklisted left and right, being told that, you know, that they're dangerous, which I'm not dangerous, but you know, that's what people were saying to try to sweep the discrimination under the rug. So this person decided to end the friendship with me. I ended up blocking them after I saw that this person was retweeting someone who was calling me a TERF and telling me that, no, you're not facing Islamophobia in this industry. I just do want to go off on a little tangent here for a second. I absolutely love how people tell me that I, as someone who is not trans, can't tell someone else what is or isn't, you know, being a TERF. Because I'm repeatedly called a TERF in this industry because I went to Wizarding World for a day. It doesn't matter to these people that I, as an attorney, volunteered to help trans people legally change their names. That doesn't matter because actions don't matter in this industry. What matters is making, you know, a lot of noise on Twitter. Apparently that's what matters more than action. So, you know, I have all these people telling me that I'm a TERF, and that because I'm not trans, I can't say that I'm not a TERF because it's not up to me. Yet these same people claim that I, a Muslim person, have not faced Islamophobia. So I'm sorry, but you can't have it both ways. You guys are not Muslim. You guys don't really have any Muslim friends, so you can't tell me what is and isn't Islamophobia. You just can't have it both ways. So anyway, so this person who was my friend then started retweeting someone who was calling me a TERF, and not the TERF tweets, they retweeted a tweet saying, oh, where this person was claiming to have a Twitter account that is wholesome and inviting and all about, you know, good things, which clearly it wasn't. And they retweeted that person's tweet saying, oh, this person is awesome, go follow them. And when I saw that, I was like, you know, screw that. Like, honestly, you go from wanting to spend a week with me to hang out and play games to retweeting someone who has been doing nothing but attacking me on multiple platforms. So yeah, so I blocked them. So, you know, I need to spend, and I'm working on it, I need to spend less time and energy thinking about all the people in this industry who I feel have very loosely held values and principles, and money is clearly more important to them. Their brands are clearly more important to them. Their profits are clearly more important to them. I think an important video to watch was AntLab recently came back and they started creating content again. And they did a video, and in this video they talked about how you are competitors. If you are someone who charges for content and someone else is charging for content, guess what? They are your competitor. It's a business. Publishers have a limited amount of marketing funds. Their funds are not so abundant that they can hire every single content creator to create content for their game. So yes, you are competitors, and these people at the end of the day are going to do what they believe is best for their business. And Quackalope, that is a business. They're in the business of creating content. So if all of a sudden they think that the best decision is to abandon the friendship because, you know, they don't want to be associated with someone who people are calling dangerous, which again I am not, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to abandon the friendship, and that's what happened. You know, there's people I considered friends in a loose sense, like I didn't meet them in person, but you know, there was a designer who I greatly had supported and whose game I just recently received because I backed it on Kickstarter. And at the time it was on Kickstarter, I was encouraging so many people on Facebook, everywhere, to back this game, because if we hit a certain amount, it's a hidden movement game, and if the campaign hit a certain amount, then it would have an app developed for a solo mode. So I was really intent on getting that solo mode developed, and I, you know, posted about this game everywhere. I did so much, and the designer of this game at that time was very grateful. I even played the game with him twice on Tabletopia. I took his board game design course. You know, in literally like 2 or 3 days before he unfriended me on Facebook, he was posting his engagement pictures from when he proposed to his wife in Turkey on my Facebook page, on a thread I had about Turkey. But then the whole thing with Burnt Island Games happened, and people were being told to unfriend me left and right, to unfollow me. And someone who had told me that, I had even, I think, at some point posted a screenshot. I blocked out this person's name, but they messaged me telling me that people were messaging her, telling her to unfriend me and unfollow me, which she did eventually. And I can see why she did that, because she recently took a job with a publisher, and that publisher, the guy who runs that publishing company, he was one of the first people to unfriend me on Facebook after all of this stuff happened. So it's no surprise to me that she eventually unfriended me. So yeah, I've lost a lot of friends in this industry, people I considered friends. And when this designer unfriended me, I was like, okay, sure. So, you know, here you are, you would rather support your friend who is clearly a bigot, who's clearly anti-Palestinian. Like, what, like, how solid are these friendships? If you can support someone who is clearly doing something wrong rather than talking to them, and clearly unfriend me because they're telling you to, what kind of a friendship is this? I guess I should not be one to judge other people's friendships, but I'm like, what are these friendships built on? You people claim to be friends with each other, yet you will support each other's bigotry and discrimination when it benefits you. If it doesn't benefit you, then you're not going to support it. And that's really what it boils down to in this industry. You are going to be in touch with people who benefit you, and when they no longer do, it's goodbye. So yeah, so very little integrity in this industry, I think. I see so many two-faced people, so many people with double standards in how they have treated me and how they treat other people, how they treat certain causes and how they treat other causes. I know I'm going off on a lot of tangents here. Like, for example, when I said, why are the same people who were making a huge uproar, creating a lot of, saying a lot about Black Lives Matter and stopping Asian hate, why does no one care about Palestinian Lives Matter? And then I'm told, oh, it's because, it's an international thing, that's why it doesn't matter. If it's an international thing, then why do you guys care about other international issues in the board gaming community? Like when that designer whose games are mostly published by international publishers, has said some stuff on Twitter or on Facebook, on his Facebook page, and then people are like, oh, how dare he say something? Well, that's international, yet you guys are making a big deal about that. So no, it's not just because a certain cause is international. It's really not. I honestly think it boils down to, people caring about certain causes, and then those people creating a lot of fuss about those causes, and then scaring publishers into also supporting certain causes. And if these people who are very loud on Twitter are not saying a lot about a certain cause, then publishers are not scared about not supporting that certain cause. So certain causes and movements in this industry are being monetized. That's just the bottom line. That's just what's happening. So you have to wonder about whether people are really genuine, whether there really is whether these publishers actually really truly care about diversity and inclusivity, or are they just slapping on Black Lives Matter onto their business pages because, that's what they were being asked to do. So, you can listen to the conversation I had with Helena. Like, she clearly said, I don't support businesses, making social statements, but she had clearly done that. It was this social statement that didn't matter to her. So yeah, I've lost a lot of friends in the industry, but clearly they weren't friends of mine to begin with, if that's what has happened. So I am just going to be focusing on creating content, focusing on the people who do comment on my videos. And speaking of that, the fact that this person messaged me on Twitter to ask this question rather than posting it as a comment on my video shows, I think, a lot about the community that I have. Like, so people keep on saying I'm a dangerous person. Yeah, if you look at the comments on my YouTube videos, multiples, there's never any bad comments. Like, if there are any bad comments, it's directed at me. It's, and that used to happen. I haven't gotten a negative comment like that in a while, like, oh, like, your videos suck or whatever. But like, there's no negative comments directed towards anyone else on my YouTube videos. There's no negative comments directed towards anyone else on my Facebook page, on my Twitter, on my Instagram. So all these people who are claiming that I'm cultivating a dangerous community, no, I am not. And people can see which values I stand for. People know I'm a legal aid attorney. People know I'm a liberal. So again, complete nonsense. But yeah, so I'm not cultivating a dangerous community, and I'm going to focus on those people who do continue to support my content. And I'm really grateful to those people, and that's why I do giveaways, which are a lot of work for me. I don't get paid to do these giveaways, but it takes a lot of time to enter each name into a spreadsheet and then, indicate that person's which platform they're entering from, which game they are entering for. And I've done giveaways in the past where I've had over 200 entries, and you can imagine the amount of time. I think I did one giveaway. I think it was my Fort giveaway, which was an international giveaway. If I remember correctly, that giveaway had over 400 entries, maybe even more than that. I think there was like couple hundred more than that. I'll have to check the spreadsheet again, or the video where I announced the winner, but there was a ton of entries, and it takes a lot of time. But I do that to give back to the people who do support me and who do watch my content. So thank you for sticking around. If you choose not to stick around for whatever reason, then fine. I'm just, going to focus on the people who from now on who do stick around, and spend less time and energy thinking about all the people in this industry who I think just lack integrity. So hopefully this is the last time, I hope, on these videos that I am addressing all of this kind of crap that has happened. And I hope that going forward, these videos will be all about games or other important issues in games. But feel free again to ask me any questions that you want. I am a pretty much, I'm very much an open book, and I'm happy to discuss stuff. So yeah. So again, thank you for tuning in this week. So yeah, I have made the decision not to go to Essen this year. I just think if and when I do go to Essen, I want it to be when I have a really good prototype of my game in hand. I don't want to spend so much money going to a convention like Essen when I don't have a prototype to maybe show to publishers. And I need to become more diligent about working on my game. So I'm going to try to do that. And I have another kind of game in mind. Like, I've played a lot of fun, like, filler card games recently with really nice artwork. And so I have a game in mind, also animal related, to try to create awareness about a certain animal. So I want to also work on that too. So I need to work on that more diligently. So yeah, you guys always ask me questions. So if you guys were to create a board game, what would your board game be about? I would love to know. And what kind of a game would it be? So yeah, again, I may be out of town next week. I might not be. If you see a video, then that means I'm not out of town. If you don't see a video, then that means I am out of town, and then you'll see me the next week. So again, thank you for tuning in. Until next week, thanks, bye.